Well, thank you for joining us today. Our municipalities and chamber have been working together to help businesses with their reopening plans. The Fenton and Linden Safe, Strong, Supportive campaign is designed to provide businesses in Fenton and Linden with links to the resources needed to assist in reopening. Our website is www.fentonlinden.com. Our business pledge is designed to show unity between local businesses to instill confidence with customers, employees, and patrons as you look to reopen your business. It's about standing together as businesses, showing our community that we are safe so they feel comfortable supporting a partnership of local businesses. I want to thank our panel this morning. We have Matt Sherrow, the owner of the Fenton Winery and Brewery. We have Dr. Nicole Wax, who will hopefully be tuning in, owner of Dr. Wax Orthodontics. Brian Mulinix, the owner of Linden Eye Care, and Dennis Richardson, the assistant vice principal, that's coming back to me, the assistant vice president of retail banking at the State Bank. During our panel discussion, if any participant has a question, please use the chat function in Zoom to ask your question. Time permitting, in the end, we'll go through them with the panel. So we're going to start off with the first question. How did you decide how to manage the protocols or restrictions for reopening pertaining to staff training? We'll start with Matt.
Good morning, Ed. Thank you, Ed and Shelly and the Chamber and the cities of Fenton and Linden for having us together this morning. I think it's a great idea. So for us, managing the protocols and restrictions really started with trying to understand the executive orders. I was tasked with reading every order, deciding if it applied to our business. We run essentially a restaurant and then a banquet hall. So I had to decide how that applied to our business. And then from that, pull out from all the wording, pull out what actually we had to do. So from that, then we created our preparedness and response plan. I started doing that in April when it was first required of restaurants and all businesses. And as EOs came out, I adjusted that response plan. And then once it came time where June 8th is when restaurants could officially open, we actually opened on June 11th. We, up to that point, had spent the previous 4 weeks, just the managers, working on processes, working on how are we going to get through this and welcome back our guests. And then we decided, well, which staff are we bringing back? So we brought back 12 staff the day before we opened and spent about 2 to 3 hours with a reorientation meeting. It brought them back because not only had they been off for 3 months, not working for us, there were a lot of new processes, a lot of new protocols in place that they might know nothing about because we had been working on it for quite a bit for those 4 to 5 weeks prior to opening, but they hadn't been involved, and a lot of processes changed. A lot of new protocols were in place. So we spent that 2 to 3 hours, did a reorientation, walked them through what all the new sanitation procedures, guest processes were going to be, and then brought them in the next day when we reopened on June 11th, last Thursday. And overall, it went really well. Of course, there's some bumps as you get guests on site. There were some bumps along the way, but we worked through it and really found that the staff came in ready to work. They're really excited to be back. We're very guest oriented. So to see those guests come back in was really just a cool thing, and they got to see people they hadn't seen in quite a long time. So it worked really well. It was just a matter of training and getting those processes in place.
Thanks, Matt. Brian, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I think one thing we were looking at a lot when we were examining the new protocols and restrictions and things from the state, once we kind of sorted out what was useful for us, and then also what our professional organizations, like the American Optometric Association and the Michigan Optometric Association, and their recommendations that were specific for kind of our mode of practice. We kind of took those, and then we tried to think about, okay, like what can we not only put in place now, but what will also serve us like in like the next 6 months, the next year, the next 2 years or on, like because a lot of the things that we needed to change with the structure of our clinic made us more efficient anyway, in how we were running our business, and how we were serving our patients, and just getting them in, getting them out while still making them feel like we're so happy you're here, like, and that we love seeing you, and just getting to talk to people again was pretty awesome. But that was kind of one of the things that we really focused on, was like, how do we make this thing sustainable, like going forward? Obviously, like, hopefully we won't always have to take everybody's temperature in the morning and like ask if how they're feeling every single morning, besides just a friendly conversation. But I think that was one thing that we really looked at. So.
Kind of like long-term sustainability of some of these practices that might even bring in a safer place for people to come and get their work done, right?
Yeah, and overall just help us to make a healthier business, and a healthier business model to start with. And it gave us a good chance to kind of step back. I mean, what other time hopefully it will never happen again, where we have a break like this to kind of step back and look at our business as a whole, and put new things in place and new protocols in place.
So Dennis, was that similar to what was going on at the bank, or was it a little different in any way because of the number of branches you guys have?
A little different, but we have a disaster recovery team here at the bank, and they would follow really what the Michigan Bankers Association and the CDC state guidelines were, try to get recommendations to put a policy in place. And then they email everybody, let everybody kind of know what to expect when they do come back to work, and put a policy in place and open the bank up in different phases, so not everybody's coming back all at once. So.
All right. So our next question: what were some of the biggest challenges putting your protocols into practice? What were some of the biggest challenges putting your protocols into practice? What worked, and then what have you kind of replanned since then? We'll start here with Brian.
So I'd say definitely, especially early on, things have clarified now, but at least more. But some of the earliest challenges were just figuring out what the requirements were. I think that sorting through what the executive orders were saying, what we needed to look at, and then also just acquiring a lot of like the PPE. And I know early on, like everybody's scrambling, trying to source it from anywhere we can, and not quite knowing when we were going to be actually able to open, and are we going to have our PPE in time? And then also just getting staff back in to train, and what does that look like, and deal with some concerns that our staff had, and how do we communicate better to our patients about what to expect, and opening up some new communication channels too, that we hadn't had to have in the past, and how we really needed to have a better way to communicate with the staff and to patients. So.
Dennis, did you guys share any of those same experiences?
Well, I think it sounds like the biggest problem here was just getting all the supplies in a timely manner. They'd order them, and then they'd find out that it's supposed to be delivered on such and such date, and then they're on such back order that order would just get canceled. So then they had to find somewhere else to get everything, the decals, the protective shields, get it all installed. That was probably the hardest part, is trying to make sure that so everybody's safe.
Yeah, I know I talked to one of the gentlemen that runs one of the golf courses near us, and their big challenge was trying to find hand carts for individuals to walk, because they're a cart course, so they didn't have a bunch. And then when nobody was using carts, and they were going to walk the course, they didn't have anything they could give out, and suddenly the price tripled on all the little hand carts for golf bags. Matt, did you guys have any changes once you implemented your plan?
Yeah, we so going off of what Dennis and Brian said, we had similar issues with timing as far as getting our PPE in. We very early on, back in April, had ordered some face coverings, and we found that their supply chain didn't have the material, took longer. So we ended up ordering from another local source that we had used before for some of our logo T-shirts, and ordered some bandana face coverings. So we did have issues. We got those in essentially the last week before we opened, came pretty tight. And then the other issues we had with timing was just we're a small company. We had very few people that were back here already before we opened. And with all the new requirements in place, we had to change all our menus. We had to put up a bunch of signs all over the place. We went to the requiring or requesting that restaurants go to a touchless format, which a lot of restaurants are doing now. But for us, we used a QR code. So we had to create a QR code that would then go to our website, go to a menu that's available on our website, has our food and our beverage and our carryout. So we had to get that QR code everywhere. We had to reprint everything, get signage up, decide where the signage goes. But once we got all that up, we finished it probably the hour before we opened, getting everything out. We found that what we had put in place actually worked pretty well. There's just some minor tweaks, but overall, we had put in a lot of time kind of walking through what was the guest experience going to be as they came onto our property. What are they going to see? Where do we want them to go? A lot of the things we had put in place actually worked out very well. We separated. We have two different bars. We have one inside, one outside. So if you're outside, you never have to cross paths with anybody on the inside. So things like that really help streamline things, help keep people separated, keep that social distancing. And we found that it worked really well. It's just minor tweaks that we had to make once we opened. But overall, we felt that what we had put in place worked, and we didn't have any major issues.
So how is staff adjusting to the change, Dennis?
The staff's doing good here. I mean, we're all wearing our masks. You know, if you're in your office by yourself, you don't have to have it on, but when you go out in the lobby area, we're having everybody wear their mask, and the staff they all understand it's for everybody's safety, and they're all doing a really good job with it.
Brian, you seen anything from your staff?
I think early on our staff was, so as with any just group of people, you're going to have varying degrees of comfort with one thing or another, or risk tolerance, or some people are thinking it's silly, and some people are like, I don't go anywhere without my mask on, basically, to that level. And but I think that one thing we really tried to do was set obviously a good example, and to stress that this is not for necessarily just for you, whatever you're feeling. We're looking out for our patients and our and obviously for our families as well, and that we're not exposing them to any undue risk. And I think just consistency over time has helped. And it's just the way it is now. So when you come to work, you go get your temperature checked, and you go and kind of sign the little log. You make sure, hey, I've got my mask, and oh man, we got to make sure that everything's wiped down before the first patient, and kind of those protocols just become normal. And once that started happening, then it was just the comfort level went way up with everything.
So Brian, we talked a few days back, and there was an interesting dynamic with people just coming in to try on lenses, and the difference now from before. So can you explain that one?
Yeah, and that was definitely an adjustment for staff, but we started kind of troubleshooting that a little bit during the shutdown, because we were open for emergency stuff. So and some of that was even the kid that can't see at all, without his glasses, and he totally blasted him playing outside, climbing a tree. And how do we structure that, and kind of we have our business is kind of split into two different modes, where we have the patient care and the medical, and hey, I got a splinter in my eye kind of thing, and then there's the kind of retail optical side, and that side was more difficult to manage because obviously you have people handling the glasses, and staff would have to actually go and select the glasses for the people, or they would walk and be like, you need to make sure that you want these glasses. because we have to hand wash all of them and sanitize. So when people are going and they have like a giant stack of glasses that they're trying on, we have to kind of manage that. But honestly, it gave us a really good chance to give like a concierge kind of feel. And that's kind of how we try to think of it too. Like we have these experts in eyeglasses that kind of know what will fit your face better, and to explain it to the patient like that, where, hey, they'll go and they will give you the best options for you. And obviously, like, you tell us your preferences, and if you see something that you, I really like that. But it's worked out really well. And just kind of keep whatever they tried on off to the side, and then once they leave, then we can take it back, get everything cleaned up, and get it back on the board. So
Great. Matt, have your staff had any troubles?
No, my staff's very good job adjusting to it. So after we laid out what the rules were going to be in our reorientation meeting. And since day one, when they showed up, they've been doing a fantastic job. We currently have 18 employees back out of our original 31, and all of them have been doing great. As soon as they come on property, they call into the manager. Our manager goes out, and we have to go through a health questionnaire asking about how they're feeling. Are they flu-like symptoms, any new or worsening cough? So we go through that before they're even allowed to show up, and they've been doing great with that. There's several managers that can go out and do that for them. And then once they're on property, we gave them FWB issued face coverings that have a logo on it, so everybody looks the same. When you put that on, it's now, you essentially treat it as part of your uniform. It's set up where you can just wear it around your neck, but anytime you're customer facing, if you're one of our servers, one of our bartenders, or your kitchen staff coming out that might be crossing paths with a customer, you pull that up, and 100% of our employees are doing that. And it's been pretty cool. We haven't had anybody that's kind of resisted that. They're just happy to be back and have that social experience again, because many of them were stuck at home for 3 months and they don't have a spouse, they're not living with family. So just to be out and have that social experience, wearing face coverings, a minor inconvenience for them. It's helping keep others safe, helping keep them safe. So that part of it's been great. We've increased. We tell them in between customers, you wash your hands. We set up sanitation stations all over the place, and they've been utilizing that a lot. So we've made it very easy for them to comply with what these new regulations are. And with the face coverings, everybody's wearing the same one. So if you're not wearing it, you stand out, because we want you. It's just part of your uniform. It's what we wear now when customers are around. So overall, they've done a fantastic job with keeping up on what the new requirements are.
So the customers, are they following your rules? How are they reacting?
Yeah, overall for us, I find that the customers are following the rules. The thing that I find that ones that maybe aren't following the rules, it's not because they're trying to be rebellious in any way. It's because there's so many new rules, and whether you walk into a restaurant, you walk into a grocery store, you walk into an eye store, the rules are different everywhere. So I think it's more ones that maybe aren't following it are more unsure. So it's just communication from our servers that can help that. We do have communication throughout the building signage, but as we know, many people either don't pay attention to the signs or they might read it and walk past. But it's not from a rebellious standpoint. It's more just they're coming out for the first time after months and months of being at home. So it's just getting adjusted to what some of the new realities are for right now, and understanding, okay, at one restaurant they want us to do this, at the other one they want us to do that. So as they come out more, they'll adjust. But overall, again, same with our employees. The customers are excited to be out. They're just happy to have that social experience again and see some of our servers that they haven't seen for a long time. So they're happy to be out. Everybody's been very courteous to each other. Our space is very spread out. So all our tables are socially distanced. We have a very large outdoor space. So you can come onto our property and not really have to cross paths with anybody for any length of time. and we've tried to make it very easy to follow the rules here. And then our servers are trained to kind of suggest things or ask them to, you know, if there's social distancing is an issue, they've been trained to mention that. But we have not had any issues so far. We had a very, very busy 4 days last week. So we don't anticipate any issues going forward as well.
Good deal. Brian, how are your customers reacting?
Yeah, really well. I think early on, people definitely had, just like Matt said, like people are just uncomfortable with what the expectations are. And I think that's been really helpful for us, is to try to set those expectations appropriately before they come. And I mean, obviously one thing that we have to our advantage is that most of the time we have at least a touch point or two before the patient comes. So like we're confirming appointments, when we make the appointment, all that sort of thing. We kind of make sure that we're setting the expectation of what it's going to be like when they show up. Hey, you're going to have to call when you pull up. Don't just walk up to the door. Hey, make sure you have your mask with you. If you don't have one, we'll provide one to you. All that sort of thing. And so then there's no uncomfortableness, because I know one thing that I feel like nobody likes to feel embarrassed when they walk into a place and to feel like you're out of sync, or that you don't know what the expectation is. I think that people get defensive quick when you feel like you're being called out on something. Yep. Or, hey, you're being they're pointing out a deficit basically in you. And if you can kind of take that barrier down, that really helps a lot. And we definitely did early on we'd have the guy that just walked right up. We actually put during kind of our shutdown, we had emergency stuff. We actually put a sign like 2 feet by 4 feet, giant sign that says "Call when you arrive," and make like no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. I mean, it was huge, and you almost ran into it trying to get into our entry for the door, and we had people walk right around the sign, like almost move the sign out of the way. And that doesn't happen anymore because we prep them a lot. But like earlier on, when people just didn't understand, and they'd like, we would even tell them, please call, and when you show up and all this stuff, and people would walk right up and jiggle the handle. We had the lobby closed still. So like, unless we come out and get you, like you can't come in. So like, we had some funny stuff like that, but like, but now that's kind of, people are getting accustomed, and we're doing a better job preparing people too. So.
Dennis, are there similar experiences with the bank?
Yeah, I'd say the majority of them, the customers, they're wearing their masks. We still got some that won't, that, you know, they just don't want to wear their mask. A lot of them will ask it, you know, I have a mask, should I put it on? We ask them, well, if you have it, we appreciate it if you put it on, and they'll usually comply, no problems. You know, the weird part is, I think for them and for us, is it just doesn't seem as professional anymore, as far as we're first time meeting somebody. Usually you're shaking their hands, or when you're leaving, you're saying bye. And some customers like to hug you, and that goes away. It's just different things like that. But they all understand, you know, with everything going on, it's just different. So, but yeah, they're all pretty, I'd say, pretty positive.
Have you guys experienced any new protocols that you might use in the future, regardless of the restrictions from a virus like this?
Yeah, our business, we definitely have some that we're going to use going forward. Number one is the QR code, which allows us to have that touchless interface with our customers. So we have QR codes placed on every table, all our signage. We actually put up menu boards outside our property. You don't even have to come inside to see your menu. But if you want to sit down outside, you just scan the QR code with your phone. It pops right. It's super easy. The newer phones, it pops right up with a link. You hit that link, takes you right to our menu, which allows us to update the menu fairly easy without having to print 50 of them at a time. So that's something that customers are really liking. We've reduced the number of menus we have to print. We still have a few that request the paper copy, so we'll give them a paper copy and then throw that out when we're done. But the vast majority of our customers have transition to that QR code. I've been to many restaurants since last week when they all open, and almost every single one has QR code. And I really like that. It makes it nice and easy. It's seamless. Of course, our one thing we did during shutdown, one of the few things that my business was allowed to do was carry out and curbside. So we created an online ordering platform where you can go online, order all your food or order all your beverages, and then pick a time between Thursday and Sunday that you want to come and pick it up. And that's how we essentially survived during March. We were closed in April, but May, we fired up this online ordering, and that's something that's not going to go away either. It's not going to be used for dining in-house, but we've set up a process now where Thursday through Sunday, you can online order during these hours, pick your time, and our staff has been trained now. When they first come on site, they have to review those orders, prep them, stage them off to the side if they can be staged and they don't have to be chilled. They stage them to the side. And that's just now going to be part of our process. That worked out very well. A lot of people, we're trying to, you don't know where customers are coming from. A lot of people they just want to be out. They're not worried about the virus. But then there's going to be a segment of population that wants to stay home, wants to keep that carry out, and they don't want to interact with society yet. So we need to try and help all of them. So that online ordering allows that, because they can stay in our car. We have new signs out in the parking lot. There's designated parking spaces for them. They pull up, they call the number. We bring your food, we bring your beverages outside, and there's no interaction with anybody but that one server that's bringing the food. So I think that's something that's definitely going to stay. And then our outdoor seating, it's great to be outside. We have a lot of space here. We have an 1.25-acre beer garden here. So we're going to continue utilizing that outdoor seating, because there is a lot of space. If you want to be in for the restaurant experience, but you don't necessarily want to be inside, we have a lot of space here. So we're going to continue encouraging people to use the outdoor space. We've got people bringing their own picnic chairs and blankets. So that's something that will continue forward. And then, of course, the sanitation. We've always, being a food and beverage company, we've always been very big on cleaning and sanitizing. So that wasn't something that was new for us with all these new protocols, but we have stepped it up, our frequency. We've stepped up for sanitation, focusing on those high touch points, any tables, chairs, the handles on the doors. So we focus on that a little bit more now than we did before. But so we're going to continue doing that going forward. So there are definitely some things that we're going to keep that I think will help the business run better in the future. And a lot of things I like the online ordering, the QR code. So those are here to stay for sure.
Dennis, has the bank had anything come along that you really liked as an idea for the future?
I think Kyler, what Matt's saying, with the sanitation, that I think that we're definitely cleaning the doors a lot more, cleaning the countertops between customers. I mean, I could see that going forward, that it's, we got the hand sanitizer in every station. I could just see it being a little more clean going forward.
Brian, anything on that?
Yeah, so we, kind of how I was saying earlier, we looked at a lot of things like with the perspective of kind of a long-term shift and what we could keep in place. And one big thing was like our communication with our patients. Obviously, like all these different channels, we actually changed our phone system, so it was a lot more interactive. So like if we get a phone call in and we miss the call or whatever, it immediately sends them a text, and then we can start texting back and forth with the patient now. And people love it. Like they just think it's the best thing, and it's just given us a really good way to communicate consistently, and where the staff can kind of help each other a little bit more with some patient communication and things like that. And then during the shutdown, we also implemented a lot more a different structure with how we're doing like contact lenses and doing more direct ship to people's houses with that. And always had it, like if you order like a year supply, you get free shipping to your house and things like that. But even without it, people love it because they call us, they tell us hey, I need to order 6 months of content, and we can get it direct shipped to their house, and then they don't have to come to our shop. We don't have to handle come in and all that labor to kind of break it out of the box and sort it and call the patient and all this sort of thing. And they just get it right away. And that's been really helpful. And also kind of a fun thing that we put in is we have a virtual try-on now. You go to our website and you can click on like this My Frames gallery kind of thing. And you can actually, it has our whole optical inventory for the most part. And you can go and like basically shop for frames, and it overlays it like on the screen with that frame. And we've had a few patients that go on and before their appointment, they'll send us an email saying, when I get in, I want to try this, and this frame. And we have it lined up on a tray. So when they show up, we can just like put it down. And these are all the frames that you wanted to look at in advance. And it just makes it feel like fancy or something. I don't know. It's
like
it's
you said
fun.
earlier, that concierge, or however you say that.
Concierge, yeah. Like,
it's like top-notch service because you know
and then,
what they
and then
want.
you can walk in, and it doesn't really take us, and they can kind of look at what we got from the comfort of their home. And obviously, like they can be like, oh, I love this frame, but hey, do you have it in this color? And we can in advance kind of prep. And like we even bought little trays just for that, so that we could like lay it all out and kind of
concierge. That's the right pronunciation, right? And Matt,
I was just able to wow. I went to a restaurant the other day, and I don't know, this is just a funny like kind of overflow thing, but like with what Matt was saying with the curbside and all that. I mean, I pulled up to the restaurant, they saw us pull up, and we told them what car we had. The lady comes right out with the bags, and I'm like, I feel like an important person now.
yeah.
Like, oh, they saw the Molinexes pull up. We got to hustle out there and get them their food, you know. And
yes, I guess people will start having to recognize my Ford F-150 as something special, because I feel the same way when you pull in and they already know what you want. They're so polite and so efficient. It is a different way to do things, but I like that as well. Well, that's all the pre-planned questions that we had. I don't see any questions that came in on the Zoom chat, but part of something that we all talked about was it's not only the business owners getting their message out of what their expectations are, not, you know, for their patrons, but it's about the patrons being able to look ahead on the web and find out these things that are going on. And that's all part of what we're doing with our Safe, Strong, and Supportive campaign that the municipalities have been so key in helping us implement. Giving that comfort to patrons prior to coming so they know what to expect and they know what your expectations of them are. And part of that is that pledge that we're talking about. So I'm going to ask Chelsea, if I've got you blocked, Chelsea, I'll unmute you now. But I want to ask Chelsea just to explain a little bit about that SAFE pledge and the impact that we're hoping that has, as well the business kits that the municipalities have purchased for not just Chamber, but any business in Linden or Fenton can get some of these kits that we put together. Chelsea?
Yeah, hi everyone. So we kind of collaborated with the two municipalities in the Chamber to come up with this pledge that is a place where our community members can go to see who's kind of taken the pledge and what the pledge means. So when they're going into these businesses, they don't feel awkward. Because what we have found through talking to our customers and them talking to their clients, they still have a lot of people who are very, very afraid to go out. And some of them is not necessarily because of the virus, but they just don't want to feel silly if they go somewhere and they have a mask on and no one else does. And so it's kind of like setting that expectation that the businesses who've taken the pledge are willing, you know, just to do all the different things that their industries have recommended. And like everyone has spoken on the panel, like the different industries are kind of recommending different protocols based on what you do, but overall they're very similar, like asking people to wear masks and sanitizing high touch points and offering touchless options. So that's basically what the pledge is saying, to kind of show comfort to those people who are nervous, like, oh, I can go here and I don't have to touch anything, and I know they're going to wear a mask when they bring me my food to curbside, or I know they're going to wear a mask when I go to the bank. And so it's kind of setting those expectations for the people that are truly nervous. And then it's kind of a way for the businesses to all stand together and say, hey, we care. Like, we care about our customers, we care about our employees. We want to show that, and we're getting all the kits in. The last pieces come in tomorrow, and then they're going to start distributing them next week. And it's going to be like a little decal that you can put on the window. It's a poster, different things that you can show you're part of it. And then obviously there's the website where you took the pledge, where all the businesses are listed that we're going to be pushing out. We got a billboard coming. We have other advertising coming to kind of really promote our community is safe, and we're standing together to protect our customers, our businesses, and their staff.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Chelsea. And to anybody listening to this, all you have to do is contact either the chamber or either one of the municipalities, and we'll set up a delivery. We'll come out, explain what's going on, and there's some other ideas we're working on as well. So the planning for this continues to evolve as what we're doing evolves into hopefully the most wide open things we can do and still maintain safety and the protocols we need to be safe for our customers and our community. We do have a little bit of time left over, so I just wanted to invite Mike from the city of Fenton or Ellen from the city of Linden if they want to say anything at this time, or just brief us up on anything new that's happened since the last time we talked. Mike, anything?
Hi, Ed. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. I just want to give a big thumbs up from the standpoint of this panel discussion this morning. We had great panelists. There was really good information put out for the whole business community within Fenton and Linden. Regional Chamber did a great job in Behind Your Design, and because there's such different information out there or people not understanding, this was a great opportunity, again, to spread the word, and we want our community to be safe, and we absolutely want all of our businesses engaged and doing business. So it was a great job, Ed.
Thanks. It's all of us, really. Thanks to everybody. Ellen?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have anything to add, just thanking everybody for participating. Great job. Thank you, Ed, and Shelly for putting this together. And thank you, Chelsea, for Behind Your Design for helping us along the way and putting all of the material together. Thank you.
Shelly, anything to add?
I guess I just echo what Ellen and Mike both said is, thanks to everyone, and please feel free to use the chamber as your resource to connect with whoever you need to. If you have questions, we can always put you in touch with our municipalities, with the board of directors, anyone that could even set an example or give you examples of what they're doing. So I think it's all of us working together, and I'm really proud of the fact that our communities have come together this way.
So yeah, thank you to all those people that just zoomed in this morning to hear our panel discussion. And www.fentonlinden.com is a one-stop shop that the municipalities and the chamber are trying to put together. So if you want to start looking things up, what's happening locally, there's a great place to go and find out all that we're doing. So again, thank you to everyone. This concludes the panel discussion, and we'll just kind of stay on here, Chelsea and Shelly, and make sure I do the right things to record this for posterity.